Welcome to the final session before the closing for this convening, and this is unpacking the National Engineering Design Competition specifications. In case you've forgotten me, I am Bill Pike. I am part of the curriculum committee, and along doing this is Manny Leon. We're both from Arizona Mesa, and we're both actually part of the NEDC committee that puts together the competition every year. So we want to make sure that we walk through, make sure we're all on kind of the same page as we move into next year. So I will put this here in case you have forgotten about it. You can use the Padlet. It has not been very well used, and I totally understand because people have been able to answer questions as they've been moving through what we've done. But if you do want to use it, feel free. Then kind of some norms for this session. We are going to do this as sort of a group activity. Then it's hopefully something that you can do with your students as well too for the next Mesa year. We do want your input, so make sure that you are talking about what you're seeing. Be respectful of everybody else as they're doing that, and you do need a copy of the specs. And if you don't have one at hand, you can go to this website. I'll go there real quick. And you can see right here, it says NEDC specs, and you can download the PDF for that. Hopefully that will be a quick download, and then you're able to see them. So I'll waste about another 30 seconds to give people time to download it and open it, so then we can all be ready to go. This is normally the point where I tell a good joke, but I just finished my lunch and I don't know any good jokes right now. So. Hopefully everybody has a copy of the specs in front of them. Okay. So I want to talk a little bit about the changes. So like I said before, both Manny and I are part of the specifications, and we know a couple of things. One, next year is going to be year 3 for the current version of the specifications. So there aren't going to be any major changes to it. They're just going to be minor changes. And we're still going to keep that focus of designing for equity within your community. So a lot of the things that we're going to talk about here apply to both last year and next year because we've kept that same vibe. And all we're really going to try to do is clean up the spaces that were a lot of problems with people. Right. So with all that being said, here are the things that you absolutely have to have within the competition. You need to have a client. And this is something that I know some teams struggle with, but it's something that we definitely need to have. So you need to have some person or people that you're working with to develop the prototype. And one of the things that as a committee we've seen is that some groups will say, I've got this great idea, now I need to go get a client. And that's actually backward. We don't want to do that. We want to go talk to people, have conversations, figure out what those inequities are that they're experiencing, and then design the prototype. So one of the first steps you want to do with your students after you've read the specifications and understand what those spaces are is what do we want to focus on? And a great way to do that is to just talk to the students, have them start identifying those spaces because they're seeing them within the communities that they live in, and they have great insight into some of the things that are going on. You know, one of my favorite projects of this whole competition was 2 years ago. It was done by Chaparral Middle School in New Mexico. It was called the Biddle Spoon, where the team actually worked with a student who's in their class who was blind to help her be able to eat without spilling the food and drink without, oh, I have to guess how much liquid is in my cup. And it was really just an amazing project where they found that person within their own community there and built the prototype around what her needs were.
Yeah, and I was just stepping in. I think the difference is, right, is I think students are used to product-centered design, right? They say, we want you to build this thing, and then they use the Mesa, rules to build that thing. right? With the national competition, and I think you'll see with the Invent Ed and the direction that Mesa is going in general, but definitely at the national level, it's really got to be that human-centered design, right? So you have to identify who are those humans that you are looking to help before you design anything, because if the design is going to be centered around them, you have to know who they are, what they're about, what their challenges are, before you can even think about sketching something to putting the prototype together.
Right. And as you've gone through both of these tracks, depending on where you've been before the session, that's been kind of a theme as we move through here, is that we want to make sure that we're working with the people in order to develop whatever that solution is. And so there's still going to be the 4 deliverables. The design brief, which is a written overview of the prototype. There's a pitch, which is that fun presentation of the prototype. The technical interview, and then some questions and answers with the judges, and then a poster seeing about everything. And the nice thing about these is that there is a template for the design brief. There is a template for the poster, and pitches can be found online as well as on the NEDC website, which is where we got the specs from. And we're actually going to spend a lot of time exploring that today. So, you know, there's examples out there as you're looking at, I'm not sure how to do this. What can I do? But we have some things there to help you and your students move through this space and to give them ideas for how they want to present it. Obviously, the choice is up to them as to how they present and how they decide to market their materials. Is the best way I can put it. But there's a lot. These 4 things that we want to make sure that you have with you right now, and know that there is some support with you as well, moving through the space. And before I move on, I want to make sure that if there's any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat or unmute yourself and be like, "Hey, I have a question," because I hold to the strong belief that no one wants to hear me talk for just an hour. So. All right. So nobody said anything, which could be a good or bad sign. So let's keep going. All right. So now we're gonna do an activity. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put you into some breakout rooms, and as a group, you're gonna answer these 3 questions. So you're gonna get a specific section: the design brief, the poster, the pitch, or the technical interview. So what are the judges looking for? Do you notice any themes? And what are the 3 most important things that students need to know? And so when you go to your rooms, we are going to say design 1 will be room 1 will be the design brief, room 2 will be the poster, 3 will be the pitch, and 4 will be the technical interview. And so what we're going to ask you to do is put your answers into this Jamboard, and you'll see that there are a space for the design brief, a space for the pitch, a space for each one of those spaces. So we're going to give you about,
Ibarra, how can I help you?
We're going to give you about 15 minutes.
Hi.
Within the room, and then we'll come out and then share out what we see in each of those spaces. So before I create the breakout rooms, are there any questions?
I had a quick question.
Sure.
So this is my first time being in Mesa, and I'm heading into my 2nd year teaching, so I'm all very new to this. Is this our answers to these questions? Is it our impressions, or is it from the documents that we downloaded?
It is your impression. It is your impressions of what you read in the document. And the reason why we're doing this in groups is that I recognize that there are some people who are in your space who are newer to Mesa, and there are some people on here whose names I've recognized from past competitions and other things as well too. And so there's that collaboration that will help in there. It also give you a sense of what your students are going to go through, because sometimes students have seen these before, and sometimes they haven't. And so this is really, at the end of this, hopefully there's an activity that you can take back to your students and say, hey, this is what we can do to unpack the specs. Because one of the things that we know is that sometimes students don't read everything. There's misinterpretations and things like that. And so that's why we want to make sure that we do this session so that we can if we come across any misconceptions, we can address them here, and you can experience kind of what you can do with your students.
Got it. Okay. Thank you for clarifying.
Oh, you're welcome. And I am going to create the breakout rooms now. They are open, and so please join them, and I'll bring you guys all back in about 15 minutes.
And we'll just pop into various rooms, right, Bill, as it goes along.
Yeah, and then I just saw your message, Amanda.
Yeah, I figured. I was like, I have to do 2 other things. I was like, but I want to listen to this one. So yeah, don't mind me.
Yeah, no worries, no worries.
We saw some folks in this room that haven't joined, or
yeah. Let's see. So Terry, I'm going to assign you to room 2.
Okay, give me just a second. My internet's very, very glitchy. It took me out already 2 times.
so I'm gonna go ahead and pop into 1 since I was design brief.
Okay, I figured I'll pop into 2 since I was poster, and then we get.
Okay.
How about you do the odds? I'll do the evens.
Sounds good. And how much time do we have? 10 minutes?
Yeah, 15. So I said 15 minutes, so it's been a couple minutes. We got about 13.
Okay, thank you.
Bill, did you want to go into room 3 or do you want me to see what the question might be?
Was there a question?
Oh, sorry. It says in there, Sarah Halstead in room 3 is asking for help.
Okay, I'll join them.
Okay. Hi, Paul. We have people in breakout rooms. Are you interested in joining a breakout room, or were you kicked out of a breakout room?
Oh, no, I can go to a breakout room. It took me a long time to find this.
Oh, okay.
Because I couldn't find it.
Okay, let me just get you to a breakout room. Hold on just a second.
Okay.
Let's see.
Because it kept telling me that the meeting wasn't open, or
Oh, no.
I didn't realize you had to go back to the very first one to.
Yeah, the
Get in.
links from this morning were our links for the whole day. So Bill, do you want to put Paul in a room? I don't see how to put him in. Okay.
All right, Paul, I'm going to put you into the room where you guys are looking at the poster.
Okay.
Wait, no, you worked on Design Brief, didn't you?
Right.
I'm going to put you in the Design Brief room.
Okay.
There you go.
Thank you.
Well, hey, B, are you here to experience what we're doing with the the specs?
You're probably multitasking like me.
Yeah. Because that's what we have to do for Mesa.
Exactly.
Hey, B, are you here to participate in our session?
Yeah, I was in here, but then my computer just restarted all of a sudden and kicked me out.
Okay. So did you hear kind of what we're doing?
I think I left off when you were gonna, you had showed us that form where we had to put in the information.
Okay. So what I'll do is I'm going to put you in a room too, which is poster.
Okay.
There you go.
Right.
All right. Everybody's in the room. Okay. I can do my 30 seconds of me multitasking.
Hey, I'm gonna jump back into room 1. Did room 3 get it figured out, Bill?
Yeah. But you know, it's funny. I look at the group of who's in there. It's Sarah Halstead, who sat on the committee for a while, and then Rebecca Ibarra, who's the executive director in Utah. I'm like, oh my God, come on.
I know. What can you do? What can you do?
Yeah. But what's funny is Paul showed up, so I put him in with Design Brief. B showed up, I put her in with poster. I'm like, okay, if there's any questions, these two, they can get those two.
All right, that works. That works good. Yeah, and I just came out of group 4. They seem to be doing all right.
Yeah. Hey, we might want to check on group 3 because the other 3 groups have stuff.
Okay.
All group 3 has right now is Team Explains.
Oh, you're looking at the Padlet?
Yeah, I'm just like, okay.
Okay, yeah, I'll pop in there.
All right.
I don't know if you could see the comment. It says Paul's asking for help in room 1.
I'm not seeing that, but all right, I'll go talk to Paul. He should know better. So I think whenever someone raises their hand in the breakout room, only you can see it because I'm not seeing any of those notifications.
Makes sense. I'm like, huh, I would think the co-host could see it, but I'm sorry about that.
Who knows?
Did you get it all sorted? It's funny if you have questions from people who are part of how you created it.
Well, I know. And, I love Paul. He's great, but he's not the most technically sound person.
Oh, yeah.
I always find this very interesting to kind of watch what people are doing in these, because you can see the groups that are really like, okay, we know what we're doing. And the other groups are like, I'm not quite sure what we're supposed to be doing.
All I can see is the actual listing of your breakout rooms. Is there something else you can see when you're in there, or you get conversation chat?
Yeah, I'm looking at the Jamboard.
Okay.
So
Just looked at the Jamboard. Yep.
All right, so hopefully they're going to start writing stuff in there. Group 3. How much more time do we have left? Just a couple minutes, right?
Yeah, I just sent out a message that said 2 minutes left. So
Okay. I'm going to go check in with group 1 here.
I think the other groups are doing all right. I'm
Are
looking
they?
at I'm looking at what they're putting on the Jamboard.
Okay, yeah, I see.
Hey, Bill.
Hey, B.
I'm back again. It kicked me out again. I'm having
Oh, no.
internet issues.
Well, I'm actually about to close the rooms.
Oh,
So you can just hang out here with us.
okay. Sorry about that.
It'll be like an NEDC meeting. It'll be great.
I'm gonna do this from home on Thursday because we've been having internet issues and Zoom issues here on campus.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah. But it's like that's the reason why I'm doing it here, because I know at home my internet's just gonna get sucked up by my kids. So I'm like, all right.
See, it's always better at home for me. And then I guess that there was a big security breach on campus, the campus I'm on. So yesterday, so there was a glitch during session 2 for me. So yeah, good times.
Internet in our office is like our office is almost like the Harry Potter bedroom under the stairs, and we're in this brand new building, but the Wi-Fi is terrible, and so it's always better for me when we have a bunch of Zoom things to do at home as well.
Welcome back. Welcome back.
Alex Craig, I love your background.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I was like, it says phenomenally Mesa.
I absolutely love it.
Thank you.
Right. What I'm going to do now, we want to do kind of a quick walkthrough so that we're all on the same page as we're doing this. So I'm going to share my screen again. So we can see here, we've got the design brief. And if there's something that as we're taking a look at this, the group feels like they want to add something, please feel free to jump in and say something. So we've got our main focus is to identify the user and how or why it benefits the user, provide an overview of the project, clarify what the user wants and needs, and the teams can focus on the needs, explain the process of creating the solution, the research, the goals, etc. So is there anything else you think we need to add here, make sure it gets talked about, group 1? And Andrea, in answer to your question, these are all on the same Jamboard. We're just on the first slide.
Wait.
And so the nice thing about design brief is both of the authors of that part of the competition are in this meeting right now. So Manny, Paul, I don't know if you have anything else you want to make sure gets added to this.
No, I think this was pretty good, right? I think the idea that it's explaining the process, that's really the focus of the design brief, is to kind of walk through the reader that kind of the project from beginning to end, but doing so in kind of a very brief, concise method. The other thing that we tried to put into the specifications was that if you look, each part of the design brief and the template should inform the next piece, right? So if you're looking at the goals should be informed by the insight and the needs that were addressed, right? So each piece should build on the next piece until you kind of have the really good idea of that thought process. The students started here, and from here they went here, and then from here they went to the next step, and so forth, until you get to the end of that design brief, which shows here's that product that we came up with, based on all of those steps that we just took.
And the user should be informed and interactive. The people who need the solution should be informed and interactive all the way through the design brief.
Right, all the way through. Yeah, a lot of times students will, and they may have, but it doesn't always come out clearly in the design brief, but there should be examples of how the client was involved throughout the design process, right? There's a feedback loop that happens throughout the project.
So let's take a look at the poster real quick. I like how someone posted in the specs on page 18. The objective is to provide an overview of the project, highlight key points, design process, testing data, data collection, introduce the problem, introduce the design process, results, conclusion, human-centered design, share the design in a visual way. Awesome. I was part of the team to write this part of the specs, and this group got it. This is exactly what we want the students to be able to pull out of the poster. So the pitch, how the product meets the needs, and was it done in the allotted time? How's it innovative? Knowledge of the product, demonstration, define the problem. Students need to know the rules. All students need to have a voice, and must be different from the technical presentation. Right. This is exactly what it is with that piece. And one thing that we want to make sure that we say in this, the students all need to be interactive during the pitch, but not all students need to speak, because we recognize that some students are English language learners and may not have the proper vocabulary to be able to give that pitch in that space. There may be something like speech impediments or something like that. So they need to be part of the pitch. They don't necessarily need to have that speaking portion of the pitch. And for technical health, required elements, students need to explain the purpose behind the decisions, the process they took, and the knowledge they gained. Students need to know there's an arc to the project through the year, document the project, make sure all the components tie back to the overarching theme. Yes, and this is the very technical space. So the pitch is, hey, we're having fun showing off our product. The technical interview and presentation is, here's the nuts and bolts of the project. And sometimes we see students try to do the same presentation for both pieces, and that's not what it needs to be. The pitch, you can think of it this way: the pitch is the fun part. The technical interview is the now explain your reasoning. So kind of like that math test of show your work. This is where they're showing their work.
Were you able to find the book?
This is before we keep going. So now what we want to do is take a look back at some of the winners and see, are they meeting these spaces? And the nice thing about this is the website also has last year's winners, and in a couple of days they're going to put up this year's state winners for the competition. So now let's take a look at what we have for each piece and see, did they meet their criteria? So did they meet the criteria that we have on our list? Was there something that should have been added to the list? And is there anything else that you notice? And so what we're going to do, Manny, keep up those 3 questions in the chat. What we're going to do is I'm going to reassign breakout rooms. And so now there's going to be 7 rooms. So 1 will be Arizona, 2 will be California. We call it Reed, we're all college educated. And then we'll go from there. And so what we want to do is spend 15 minutes looking at what the teams produced, and then coming back and saying, all right, for Arizona, here's our answers to these 3 questions. For California, here they are for these 3 questions. Then we're going to report out. All right, so any questions before I put you into breakout rooms? The rooms are all open. I'll see you in about 15 minutes.
Hey, Bill, I'm listed as an invitation to room 2, but on the list, Arizona's room 1.
Yeah, you're not doing your own state.
Oh, I'm sorry. It might not be. Oh, wait. Okay.
Good. And Rena did not end up in New Mexico. Got it. All right.
Paul's asking for help in room 1.
I'll go talk to Paul.
You're gonna go talk to Paul? Okay.
Yeah.
How you feeling, Ling? I'm good.
Good. The worst part is over. I am not a fan of public speaking, so moderating the group was not super fun to me.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, that was the point of all my anxiety for the week. The rest of it, I'm good.
Everything else, no worries. You want me to do what? Talk to everybody?
Yeah. You want me to talk for like an hour straight with people? I don't even talk to my whole family for an hour straight.
Right.
Can I get the link to the document? I'm in my group when we weren't able to get it. So.
You mean the Jamboard?
Is it on the same Jamboard as before?
Yeah. So all the information is on the Jamboard, and then if you want to see the things from last year, those are there.
Yeah, we're not asking them to record any information, right? It's just kind of read through it, discuss it as a team, and then just share your thoughts when you come back. So we're not asking you to record your thoughts.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So Bill, I was in 5 and there was a young lady in there named Hannah who is in a class right now and can't participate. So we were supposed to do number 5, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so she's not gonna be able to do it.
Well, how about that?
Yeah, she's in a class right now. So she's like, I can't really do this. I was like, okay.
No worries. I mean, that's fine, because when we come back, we're gonna have a conversation of what did you see? Hey, guess what? This activity is a good resource as you're introducing the national competition, and then the website is a good resource to look at. You know, how did the state winners do, so they can see and then build from there.
Okay.
So I'm really trying to get the teachers to experience what their students could experience to do better, to do their best in there. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I always refer my teachers to the USA website as well to look at those, so they have an example of what to do.
Right.
We're putting all this work into it. I might as well put it to use, right?
Right.
Right.
And some of them even go on. I guess some of them post their pitches on YouTube, and so some of my teachers have found previous pitches on there as well too, and they're like, can we use their idea? And I'm like, no, you cannot.
Can we steal their project? No, don't steal their project.
Yeah, that's exactly what I tell them. Like, if you want to do something similar, but all your work has to be your own work. It cannot be anything like theirs.
Mm-hmm.
What's funny is the last year we did it in person. We put all those pitches up on YouTube, so they can just go to YouTube and find all those. But if they do what they did in those pitches, they're actually not going to score very well because we changed the rubric on that. So
yeah, every year there's some little tweaks, so that even if you copied someone's, it wouldn't necessarily do as well.
Oh yeah.
Did you get any rain, Bill?
I've gotten like sprinkles.
I know. I just get clouds over here.
Yeah. Well, as I was driving in the office, I got one raindrop. I'm like, oh, maybe no, just total tease.
Hey, I'd rather take the rain than the heat.
We have both at the same time usually.
Oh no, that's not fun.
I mean, it's cloudy, but 100 degrees.
Oh wow.
See, I'm just waiting for 4 o'clock. Then it's going to start raining because that's when it always rains. So
and it cools off. It cools off for a little bit, but yeah, usually it's like hot during the day, and then it'll storm for maybe an hour during our monsoons, and it cools off, and it's nice. And then it's warm and muggy, and then it's hot again the next day, and then it rains.
I'll keep my dry heat then.
I love the monsoons though. I love that moisture in the air and the smell of rain when it does rain, and then like all the cicadas that come out. We have toads that Sonoran River toads that hibernate until it rains, and then they come out and mate like crazy, and then they all hibernate again. And even if it goes for years, they'll just sleep underground until it rains. It's pretty cool.
Like, do you see the actual toads like around your living area space?
Not as much anymore, but like when I was a kid, they'd be everywhere. They'd be all over the roads. You could hear them. If you're close to like some of the washes and stuff, you'll hear them more because that's where they are, is in the dry washes until it rains.
Oh wow. I have like a huge phobia against frogs and toads.
Oh yeah, and then these are bad for dogs. If dogs try to eat them, they're poisonous to dogs.
Because everything in Arizona is poisonous. So
yeah, everything's trying to kill you here. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's not the right word. What do the kids say now? Unalive. Everything's trying to unalive you.
Yeah.
I like how right after it rains, everything is really bright and colorful because it just had all of that moisture come in. So like cactuses are greener than green, and the red dirt is redder than red, and I just love it. So that's another thing that's really great about desert rain.
Oh yeah, for sure. And like the smell, to me, it's like the smell. I think of it as if the desert goes, like they're letting out like a breath, right? Like a big sigh. That's what it makes me think of. I got a creosote bush just so we could have that smell. So sometimes I just go out and water it so I can smell the rain.
So you can smell the rain. That smell is called, and I found this out from one of my kids a few years back when they had to write a poem using like life science stuff. Petrichor. This is called petrichor.
Petrichor. Oh.
I like that's a good word. I like it.
That is good. I like the name of the plant in Spanish. It's got 2 names in Spanish. Both of them are difficult to say, but sound really cool. So one is gobernadora, it's like governess. And then the other one is hediondilla, which just means like smelly plant. But they say it sounds, I don't know. I thought that was interesting too. You need to look that up.
I get the smelly plant one, like that's so very descriptive of just like the situation you're dealing with. But governess, is it the way it looks? No.
I'm gonna look it up. Governess.
It probably has to do with some governess a long time ago really liked the plants and planted them all over the estate, and so it's the governess. Yeah,
maybe. I guess greasewood. It's also like some people call it greasewood, and chaparral too. There's another name for it.
Well, that would explain why that road in West Tucson is greasewood, because there's a lot of it around it. So
yeah, that's where my middle school was.
You said is it not a middle school any longer over there?
It closed for a bit, and then now it's a K-8.
Mm.
And my elementary school is completely closed. Close that one down.
closing all the rooms.
Oh, I guess they called it the governance because due to its ability to secure more water by inhibiting the growth of nearby plants.
Okay.
So it was governing the water usage in their area, I guess.
All right, welcome back. So hopefully, looking through those different entries, you can see where how the teams have taken what our lists were and basically come up with state-winning projects. And so this is something that, you know, as a committee, we hear a lot that the national competition is intimidating. Yes, it is. You know, oh, my students don't know where to start. But being able to have the students kind of break it down and see what other students have already done actually gives them a lot of, oh, I can do that. Oh, I can do that. Oh, I can do that. And really builds into that space of that feeling that they can succeed in the space as well as move forward into there. And nice thing about this is that last year, the website where those are housed was created, and it's going to keep going for the foreseeable future. So the archive spaces of last year are still going to be there, as well as the new ones for this year. And then next year it'll be adapted. Next year it'll keep being updated as we move through the national competition. So there's a repository for students to look at, hey, this is what they're doing. And every one of our students is capable and can very much do that exact same thing. And so I hope that this was useful for you, and it's something that you can take back to your students next year to say, all right, we're going to talk about the national competition. Let's break down the specs. Let's see what are those key pieces. And then, hey, let's go look at some more examples of what students can see. So I don't know if there's any questions, comments.
I have a question. This is Sarah Halstead. Yeah. Hi, Bill. Hey, so from your perspective, from the national committee's perspective, what are you hoping to see different in the pitch versus the interview? Because a lot of times kids kind of replicate their interview into their pitch, and it feels more technical than maybe a Shark Tank or a commercial or something more fun, although the rubrics kind of overlap as well. So what was the National Committee's mindset on that?
So you're right, there is a little bit of overlap in there, but there's not too much. And so really, excuse me, the pitch is supposed to be that fun, hey, let's show off our project. Let's talk about the people who are behind it and how we're reaching out to them. The technical interview is, this is our project. These are the technical aspects that we went into in order to make whatever our prototype is. And so the pitch shouldn't have any technical aspects, and the technical interview shouldn't be a like wow factor. Here we're gonna do a lot of like song and dance sort of space. So, you know, the pitch really should be that fun space to show off what they're doing. And the technical interview is really that, here are all the real technical details about that.
Yeah, so like there's no penalty for kids though if they go more technical. So how do you kind of constrain that so that the vision of what you want the pitch to be as the National Committee and as the judges perceive what the pitch should be, you know, in the exemplars, some of the exemplars go very technical and some of the examples are very fun. We saw one this morning that was hilarious and awesome, 2 pitches that were amazing, that had more of that fun element. How do you want us to frame that for teachers and as teachers to frame that for students as we're doing trainings and things in our areas? Is there any kind of penalty? Like, yeah, so is there a penalty for going too technical? It just doesn't seem like it.
There's not a penalty, but there's also no benefit, right? They're not receiving points for discussing the technical aspects of their design within the pitch, whereas in the interview, they are. And so like the way I like to frame it for students is, you know, think about who your audience is, right? With the pitch, which is a live to a general audience, right? You're sharing your design with the general public, right? You don't want to be too technical because you don't understand necessarily the technical background of your audience. They may not be prepared for that. Whereas the technical interview, as if you were sharing your design with an engineering team so that they can understand how they might build it, right? And what were the technical aspects that went in, that goes into that prototype. So they could be technical in their pitch, but it's not helping them at all. And if that dominates their pitch, they'll probably actually lose points. You know, when you look at the rubric, because there's nothing in the rubric that's really, you know, that's talking about those technical aspects of their design.
That was great. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you differentiating that from your guys' perspective. And we'll continue to work on that from our end to convey that to our students.
So we got a couple minutes left. Any other questions or comments before we close this out? I'll take that as a no. All right, so please do come to the closing. There is going to be a survey about the convening, and you can get a t-shirt if you so desire. And we're going to share a little bit about Thursday and Friday with the national competition. So thank you, and I hope to see you all there.
I'm going to drop the link in really quick for anybody who's still here who needs it.